Hello, I am Joshua P. Warren, and this is Joshua P. Warren Daily. And this is a sad day for UFO disclosure here in the United States of America. I say that because around 82 years ago, on Halloween night, October 31st of 1938, Orson Welles, the great filmmaker of Citizen Kane, became extremely famous because he produced a radio broadcast of War of the Worlds that sounded like it was a live broadcast of us being invaded by aliens. And a lot of people, it turns out, did not hear the disclaimer at the beginning where he said this was going to be a dramatization. So they tuned in after that and they supposedly started flipping out, okay, and panicking. And so since then, for again almost 82 years, that scenario has been used as an excuse by politicians, military leaders, people in all kinds of positions of power to prevent full disclosure of the UFO phenomenon to us, the little citizen civilians. And they've always said, oh, look what happened when that little broadcast aired. They all flipped out. And so if we tell them that aliens are here, well, my God, they're really going to freak out, and we can't have that on our hands. And so I have been saying for a long time, pretty much throughout my life, and a lot of people like me have been saying, no, we can handle it. That's bullshit. We can handle this. But you know what? Maybe they've been right. Maybe the people are so easily brainwashed, so uninformed, so incapable of comparing facts and statistics and realistic experiences, so hungry for negativity and fear that we can't handle it. Because I guarantee you that whatever efforts have been made recently to promote disclosure are now being undermined by this ridiculous panic that we are seeing over the coronavirus. And look, I've been taking a lot of flack for coming out and saying this is an overreaction, that the media coverage doesn't match the proportion of data about the risk and all that. And people are so invested in this for some reason, in scaring everybody. And I wonder, whose agenda is this? What out there has this agenda? One guy, and I've gotten a lot of negative stuff, but I've been surprised that most of it is positive. It gives me some faith and confidence. Most people who have listened to my podcast and seen my messages have written me and said, yeah, this doesn't make sense. This is ridiculous. But for example, one guy messaged me and just said, are you demented? Which, by the way, is a stupid question, because if I were demented, I don't know how I would know I was demented. So that shows you he was just being an asshole. But here's what I can tell you, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. All right, I'm 43 years old, and I've worked in media since I was a teenager. I don't know what that guy's background is, but I've been on probably every TV channel you can name, and I've published over 20 books with some of the largest publishers in the world, and so therefore I'm telling you, I understand media, and I understand how that, it's not a public service, folks. News media is not a public service. It is a business, and it's a private business, and it operates just like any other private business. So that's why whatever can be done to scare you into watching is embraced. So let me just repeat here. The Spanish flu of 1918 infected 500 million people. And so far, the coronavirus has been 162,000 people, which is not even a blip. That doesn't even really show up as a blip when you compare them. And 6,000 deaths. Now, I know there are all these people who are saying, well, hey, you just wait. The numbers are going to increase dramatically. We haven't been testing everybody and we don't even know. Well, I don't think that any reasonable person can take the amount of people who have contracted this disease right now and compare it to 500 million people and actually believe that those numbers are going to even come close. They're not going to. There's just no way of believing they're going to. So people who tell you the numbers of coronavirus are going to match somehow the Spanish influenza they're just uninformed. But anyway, look, I'm worn out. I bet you're feeling that same way. Like I'm just so tired. I'm like, let's just get this done. Let's get it over with, because it's like leading a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. My friend Stephen Randolph is a comedian in Los Angeles, and he posted on his Twitter page something that I retweeted. He said, quote, "Negative people always call themselves realistic," end quote. I'll repeat that. Negative people always call themselves realistic. Yeah. So unfortunately, this kind of stuff, it brings out the worst in people. You know what I'm talking about if you followed my work for a while, especially if you read my book, Use the Force. And of course, Use the Force is inspired by Star Wars. Remember that quote by Yoda: "Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering." Yes, I could have done that in my Yoda voice, but I've decided to spare you. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. So listen, sometimes it's okay to be silent because you don't want to feed somebody's angry fire. Sometimes it's like a kid having a tantrum and they'll say something ridiculous or nasty or sensational, and you're just like, whatever, just, because if I pay attention to this child, basically, then I'm just prolonging this and making it worse. You don't feed an angry fire, but sometimes you have to speak out, especially when it comes to your friends and your loved ones, people that you really care about. So now, I am telling you, now is a time to speak out. Use what you have learned and defend logic. I have to speak up right now because I see the damage that's being done by people blowing this out of proportion and having these unrealistic reactions and overreactions. And I see once again how this is a chain reaction that's going to affect all the other things that maybe you and I get to know about, as civilians before we die. The media right now is confirming the sort of concept of idiocracy, that people will flip out and that their worst sides will come out of them, and all it takes is just some stupid bullshit to trigger them. So look, if you see somebody who is defending this panic, this may seem harsh, I don't know, unfriend them, unfollow them, do whatever you need to do to just sort of separate yourself from that, because you have to be decisive once in a while in life. You have to be. And if we give in to this that's being so blown out of proportion, that's freaking people out so badly. If we give to this, like give into this here in the USA, then we're really losing our grasp on logic and data. So that's my advice to you. That's my thought for today. But someone out there or some organization out there is trying to prove that the public cannot be trusted and can be made to easily overreact. And so that is, again, a huge setback for UFO disclosure efforts and anything else regarding how that the general public will react, or the degree to which we can be entrusted to not flip out and panic. So I hope you see, if you listen to this podcast, I'm assuming you get it. But boy, we are quite a little community. We're quite a club, aren't we? I mean, you see, a lot of people do not understand. But anyway, so there's what I have to tell you today. I'm going to try my best not to talk about this much more because I don't want to add any more fuel to that fire. I am going to be on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie this coming Wednesday night. And of course, Coast to Coast AM airs from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, California time, and then 1 to 5 a.m. Eastern time. So that would be New York time. So it's more or less convenient for certain people. But I'm going to be on the final 2 hours of the program. And George always likes to open the phone lines, so I'm sure we'll be taking some calls and stuff. So put that on your calendar and get ready for that as well. So, again, this is an exhausting time. It's an irritating time for all of us. But it is what it is. And I know you can only do so much. But at least communicate with the people that you love and trust. Don't worry about some troll on the internet, in social media, or whatever. Just forget about that. Nowadays, at least you can block people and stuff. But tell the people that you love and you care about that, hey, historically speaking, this has it's almost irrelevant compared to the last pandemic. And that's not to say that there won't be an actual pandemic at some point. There may be, and then we'll have cried wolf. And it will be even worse because people will say, well, that last thing wasn't a big deal. So you have access to the data just like I do. That's it for today's podcast, and I doubt I'll be leaving one on Monday and Tuesday because I'm building up all my resources for Coast to Coast AM on Wednesday night / Thursday morning, depending on where you are. But always keep this in mind. If you go to my website, it's joshuapwarren.com. There's no period after the P. Go to joshuapwarren.com. You can explore, you can find all kinds of interesting videos and pictures. And if you click the link to my Curiosity Shop, you'll find some things there that you won't find anywhere else. And also, I guess I should mention, often when I go on Coast, I just sort of sell out of everything, including tickets for my last conference ever. And this whole coronavirus bullshit is another good reason for me to say, like, this is the last time I'm going to produce a conference, because you never know if people are going to flip out and just be afraid to travel, or the airlines are going to shut down flights or whatever. So I kind of saw this coming in some psychic sense, I guess. YouWillManifest.com. YouWillManifest.com. Click the link there at the top of the page, and you can learn about my Last conference ever coming up this May. But anyway, point is, while you're there at joshuapwarren.com, click the link to this podcast, Joshua P. Warren Daily. Always short, always free, commercial free, independent. Independent. That's becoming very rare these days. Independent, uncensored. Click the link to that and you can subscribe through various means, or just follow me on Twitter at Joshua P. Warren, at Joshua P. Warren, and I will usually tweet when a new one is available. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for your interest and support. Thank you for staying curious, and I will talk to you again soon.